Hello everyone, this is Ravi Teja. Today we are going through the tutorial of web2py Python web framework. Right now we are on index page, which is the home page of this tutorial. We have navigation to different pages like introduction, where we come to know what actually web2py is, and the features page, why we have chosen web2py over the other frameworks, and installation steps, how we're gonna get this framework into your local and start building the applications, and sample and blog app. We are building our first application from our local, and the deployment, first developed application we are going to deploy on the web server, and the bibliography where have taken references and build this tutorial. Let's walk through introduction page first. What actually is web2py? Web2py is open source Python web development framework which is programmable in Python. It favors convention over configuration design approach like Ruby on Rails. It follows MVC architectural pattern. MVC stands for Model View Controller. We'll discuss about detail about MVC in the features page. The framework is especially designed to help web developers to deal with dynamic web content, and which in turn reduces web development tasks like developing web prompts from scratch. It supports full stack web development and used especially for rapid development of fast, compatible, and secure database driven web based applications. What is Python? For web based application, Python is backend programming language used to write server side logic of the application, and it is interactive, interpreted, and object oriented programming language. Here we have a sample program using Python, and the program is about we are printing a prime number with the based on the user input from the user. We try executing this code. We'll see how the output looks. I already add this program in my local. I'm going to desktop. I'm searching for prime. Right click, edit with ideally. Ideally is the IDE of Python where we can write Python codes. Here the program with the indentation followed, and I am trying executing the code by clicking F5. Here we can see it is asking for a user to input a number. I am entering 100, pressing enter, and we can see it prints the prime number from 1 to 100, 2, 3, 5, 7, and so on. And the program performance is also fast because we are directly executing the code on the interpreter. So the Python asset is an interactive and interpreted language. And what is full stack web development? A development environment which deals with system infrastructure, CRUD operations, client side code, server side, and project management as well. CRUD operations are like create, read, update, and delete operations. In a full stack web development, in a short to be said, a framework which supports from full client side to deployment can be considered as a full stack web development. And there are three main components of this development: front end, back end, and database. Front end. In general, it can be considered as client side code development. Languages like JavaScript, HTML5 can be used. Backend. In general, it can be considered as server side code development. Languages like Ruby, .NET, Java, Python can be used. And database. There are different database patterns that can fall into these categories. If you consider relational database like SQL Server, MySQL, we can use different type of database. If you want to know more about this front end, back end, and database, go through the links provided. If you click, it will go to a Wikipedia page. Cool. Now let's go through the features. Why we have chosen web2py framework over the other frameworks. The other frameworks available in the market are Django and Flask, but we have chosen web2py because of its features. It supports full stack web development and it favors convention over configuration. It follows model view control architecture pattern. With the installation, it comes a Rocket Web Server and browser based IDE. We go through them each and everything in detail. Full stack web development. As we went through full stack web development in detail in the introduction page. Yeah, we know what actually it is. Web2py supports full stack web development with HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript as frontend, and Python as server-side programming and SQLite database as database. And convention over configuration approach. Web2py favors convention over configuration design paradigm that helps the developer not to take many decisions for gaining simplicity without losing the flexibility. And model view controller, it is an architectural pattern. When the user request request through browser, the request hits the controller through routes. Then controller interacts with the model, and then model approaches database for any business logic change. After making any necessary changes, the model invokes view through controller. View then renders the next browser script. And in model to be in brief, it holds information of the application and the rules to manipulate the data. View, it takes data from the model through controller and display it to end user. Controller, the glue between the model and the controller. In web2py, they are responsible for processing the incoming request from the web browser and interrogating the models for data and passing the data onto the views of presentation. And Rocket SSL web server, as the name indicates, it supports different type of secure protocols like HTTP and HTTPS. It comes with the installation. We come to know in brief about in the installation process. And browser based IDE, there is no particular IDE required for developing this web2py apps. With the installation we get a by default IDE. We looked at brief in the installation steps. Installation steps, here we have step by step procedure how we need to get this framework in local and start building the applications. We'll go through each and every step. As said, first we will visit the web2py.com, then click download. It will redirect to different options for download. As I am on Windows operating system, I will click on for Windows. It will download a zip file as shown. As I already went through this process, I directly open the unzipped file which is saved on my desktop. Web2py, I open. We have different files in this. As said, from the step 5 we need to execute the .exe file. So I am executing the .exe file to start the server. Double clicking. If you are the first time, it is asked to set the password. As I already done this, I am directly entering the password to connect to the server and click start server. It will redirect to home page. And if you want to log in as admin, click on the admin page. On the first landing, you can see only two projects, welcome and examples. But I already created two applications like sample application and demo. We can see that projects as well. To create a sample application, we need to go to this new simple application. Let's say we are creating example application name. Click create. Now if you go to the home page, we can see the example application. Now done. We are done with the installation. Now let's start building an application. Sample app. A sample application is about there are two methods which take one method which takes an input from the arguments like two number and it will print the sum of them, and the other is like taking inputs from a text input boxes, and it will print the sum on click. Let's go through that. As the code is already implemented with this, let's go through the code. This is the application name what I created, sample application. For any code changes, we need to click on manage and then edit. We land into page where we can create new controllers, models and views, and we can edit them as well. And my controller name is basics, which I have created. If I click on edit, here is the first method, which is def request underscore hours. If we look at this code, it is similar like the Python code which I have dealt in the introduction page regarding the prime number. So in controllers we write the Python code which we discussed as a server side code, which is used for web2py. And this is the first method where it is taking inputs from the parameters, like number 1 is the first one and number 2 is the second, and it's just printing the sum total. And return locals here is like it holds the all the local variable values, and it will pass to view where we can use that in view and for displaying the output. And this is the other method, request underscore vars, where we are taking input from the user and printing the sum. Now let's go through the view part. As views and controllers to be in sync, we need to create views based upon the controller. Basic slash method name dot html should be the extension we need to follow. Click on the edit, and we are directly displaying the total, which is a local variable, and we are making use of the request locals from the controller. Now let's try running our program. I already ran this program. Request is the first method where we are passing 3 and 4 from the input. We pass 4 and 5. We need to see the sum as 9. Yeah, the total sum is 9. And we try executing the other method, that is request underscore vars. Yeah, it is asking input from users. Let's enter 4 and 10, then click on add. Yes, the total of the numbers is 14. The program works. If you look at the execution part, a sample application is the application name, and the basics is the controller, and request underscore vars is the method name. The same convention we are following in Ruby on Rails as well. Here we need to follow. Now let's go, as we are built with the sample application, we need to deploy this app on any web server. We'll go to this deployment steps. We can deploy our first developed app on different web servers, like deploying on Python Anywhere, on Heroku and Amazon EC2 and Google App Engine. Now here, as part of this tutorial, we are deploying our application on Python Anywhere. Here we have step-by-step procedure how to deploy our application on Python Anywhere. But before starting the deployment, we need to do one thing, like we need to go to our home page. After starting the server, click on admin. Here is the application what we have developed. Let's say click on pack all. Here if you see, we can see a file downloaded, because this file in future we'll use, and we'll directly upload this application, and we can see our application start running. So we go through the steps. As said, we need to visit this pythonanywhere.com. As I already logged in, you just need to go through the login procedure. It just as steps mentioned. After logging in, you land up in this page. Then we need to click on web, click add a new web app, follow the steps as mentioned here, and directly upload the package. Then click. I already did this. Let's try running this application. Yeah, sample application is the application name, and basics is the controller name, and request underscore wires is the method name. We'll try entering that. Now we can see our application deployed on server. Let's give 5 and 99, which gives 104 is the sum. Now we can see our first application deployed on Python Anywhere web server. It's cool. Now, and for developing this tutorial, I made use of uh, Dreamweaver, and we'll go to bibliography. These are the different references I have taken, like text references and image references, to build this tutorial. And if you want to learn more about this sample application, I have developed other application as well, which is a blog application which deals with a database and models. Click on this blog application. I have the my file which is deployed on GitHub. Just click on the download zip and you can see the course source code. I already deployed it. Just will go through the output of the output of the application. Okay, sample application, and the method name is blog, and view. And the application is about we are just rendering the data from database, rendering data from database and displaying it. Like I have stored images, different hyperlinks related to the image, and when on click it will direct it to an page as well. And from the project I have learned a lot, developing a tutorial from end to end, how I need to organize, and especially a new framework like web2py, which I have done some research and developed from scratch. I have built two beautiful applications. I forgot to mention about the annotated bibliography. If we go to bibliography, we have this different references I have taken from, and the annotated bibliography is used in places like a front end, back end. Thanks, Professor, for giving this opportunity to learn a lot regarding to web2py web framework. Thanks.